Animal Hospital is full of secrets. Who created all the anomalies? What is everyone hiding in those briefcases? And is it possible that it's based on a real-life hospital? Well, lucky for you, I've got the answers to that alongside every other secret in Animal Hospital, starting with the secrets in the lobby. In the lobby, there's actually 2 cat NPCs that actually reveal a lot of game lore before you even hop into the game itself. Let's talk to this one. Every employee who enters the East Wing quits within a week, they say. All right, interesting. What do you have to say over here? I've seen the same patient die twice now. Same person, twice. I feel like someone is watching me near this place. Well, that's creepy. The anomalies are spreading faster than we can document them. The security footage from last night is missing again? What is happening here? Something's watching from the shadows. I can hear it breathing. So even the NPCs knows that something is not right here. Typically, patients never disappear at a hospital unless it's like a really bad one. But even the patients outside know how bad it is, which means that the Animal Hospital corruption is publicly known. But the clues that they give are far from the only thing hidden in this lobby. What is the Asian Highway? So if you look around the border of the lobby, you'll notice something. All the street signs are in Korean. There's actually a sign on the hospital itself that says emergency room in Korean. But the most popular sign has to be the one over here, the Asian Highway. The highway shown here depicts AH1, which is the longest route in the Asian highway system. It connects more countries than any other road on the planet. And it even has an exit number, 14A, which, if you look this up, is in Korea, which is really interesting. But it's kind of scary to think this hospital is located in such a dangerous place, given that it's sitting on top of one of the longest highways in the entire planet. But its real-world location is an interesting place for an animal hospital, especially given its history. Which leads us to our next secret, the real animal hospital. The fact that the hospital is in Donggu-daegu may actually give us a hint as to what's going on at the hospital. It's also at the intersection of 3 supernatural sites. Located less than 10 minutes west of the Dodong Junction in Daegu is a massive field containing over 200 ancient burial grounds, dating back to the 4th and 5th centuries. Called the Buludong, it is an ancient tomb cluster. Kind of crazy, right? Also interesting, it's on a tourist attraction website. Like, no shade, but I don't know if I want to visit that. The hospital is also located at the foot of the Palgong Mountains, which has long been used by the locals as ritual sites to summon lost spirits. And even the road itself has been known to be haunted too. South Korean taxi drivers have seen solitary pale figures standing on the shoulder of the road, and they've sometimes reported picking up silent passengers who just vanish before reaching their destination. So it's on a haunted highway that sits between an ancient ritual site and an ancient burial ground. And all that supernatural activity is clearly having an effect on the patients, which is also something we can see from the game lobby. Like, take a look at this. This is so creepy. This like anomaly of Dr. Harlow in the window of the hospital. Clearly, Dr. Harlow here is hiding a few secrets of his own. Who is Dr. Harlow? So Dr. Harlow here is one of the first employees that we meet in the game. He basically helps us speedrun the tutorial, but he's not just a mindless NPC. He's one of only 3 employees who are allowed to handle the top secret briefcase. Now, given the fact that he was mean mugging us from inside the hospital when we're in the lobby, it would be safe to assume that he's some sort of mad scientist. Or at least up to something shady, but it's more complicated than that. He ends up revealing a lot of his motivations. He reports that the Animal Corporation saved him, which is why he works for them now. And if their research is successful, there will be no more patients, endless shifts, or any trouble whatsoever. Lots of air quotes here. Which that seems like he has noble intentions, and that he isn't just some crazy mad scientist. But still, he's clearly hiding something. I mean, scary faces in the window don't lie, right? And if there's one person who's likely to tell us, it's gotta be our boy Ron from accounting, right? Which leads me to my next secret. What is Ron from accounting hiding? Not gonna lie, Ron from accounting is a little sus. In the beginning, he's a super chill, friendly guy, but the more you talk to him, the more you realize he's hiding something. Like Harlow, he's one of the only 3 employees carrying the top secret briefcase. But at the same time, he's the only one pointing out the inconsistencies. Like, for example, he points out that Animal Corporation is deleting patient logs, which is super troubling given he's the accountant. But he doesn't seem worried about getting in trouble about it. He's concerned over it. And eventually, he drops the biggest secret in the game. The patients aren't infected. They're being experimented on. Spilling that secret is also what got Rathu into the mess he's in. Speaking of which, what is the truth about Rathu? Rathu is a pretty key figure in Animal Hospital with quite a few secrets of his own. His size makes him the perfect size to sneak around and see what's actually going on in the hospital. And Ron actually tells us that that's what got him on Animal Corp's radar. Eventually, Rathu snuck into Ron's office and looked through some papers. Unfortunately, those papers were experiment reports. And we even see Rathu tell us later on in the game not to trust the men with suitcases. Men like Ron. So he definitely knows something that he shouldn't, which is why he had to leave so abruptly. I mean, he even says the Animal Corporation was after him. But when he does, he leaves you a key, which takes us to the next secret. The secret behind the poster. So when Rathu dips out, he leaves behind a key with a note beside it. The note says it's from the doctor, but there's no safe to be found anywhere. But that's because it's simply hidden behind this poster in room 5. And when you unlock it, you find another top secret briefcase and a letter that reads, "The experiment was a success. The shadow now sees everything." And next to it is a girl version of Rathu? Like, who is this? That just happens to be our next secret. Who is Ratina? Ratina may be one of the most important characters in Animal Hospital that we never meet. He's Rathu's sister, who Rathu tells us about right before he leaves. Evidently, she was the smarter of the two. She also worked for the Animal Corporation directly and had a high-ranking role, until she suddenly disappeared. Now, it's pretty safe to assume that she was probably part of an experiment that altered her forever. But it's more than just a ghost story amongst the staff. Even the anomalies have some kind of connection to her. If you take her picture and take it to the stalker, the photo immediately catches fire. But why is that? Is it possible that the stalkers are results of Harlow's experiments on Ratina? I mean, the stalkers and Ratina do kind of look alike. If so, then the picture catching on fire could be it spiritually crashing out on the creature that it used to be. And if that's the case, then Ratina certainly would not be the only creature with a monster inside of them. Which leads us to our next secret. What is Barney? By far, one of the most terrifying creatures in the game has to be Barney. At first, he starts out super annoying, always asking for coffee. But eventually, then he asks for a scalpel, which is when things start to get dark. After giving him the scalpel, he eventually comes back with a suitcase and asks you to hide it in your office. This is when the cops come in looking for him because apparently he's a serial killer? Like, what? The cop also shows us his photo, which clearly confirms that he's an anomaly. So the choice to turn him in to the police seems obvious. But what's even crazier is if you choose to turn him in, the game essentially punishes you for it. Barney immediately runs away and takes out the cop before running out, leaving you to deal with the body. But if you help Barney by lying to the police, you get rewarded with a second coffee machine. Which, by the way, is a very, very important resource in the game. But the reason it's so important actually unravels a lot of the game's biggest mysteries. So let's talk about it. Why is everyone so obsessed with coffee? One of the strangest things about Animal Hospital is that your health has nothing to do with your physical health, but rather your mental health. Instead of HP, you have your sanity. So the game is not about staying alive, it's about staying sane. But it's also interesting that you don't recover sanity by reading books, or watching TV, or taking a mental health break. The main ways you get your sanity back in the game is either by drinking a lot of coffee or eating candy bars. And it's not something that just works on you either. Like, for example, if you talk to the guy at the beginning who's banging his head on the glass in the beginning and ask him to leave, you lose 20 sanity just for talking to him. But go up to him with some coffee and you're just fine. Somehow, coffee is the cure for insanity in this world, which is why I believe that the sanity meter is not actually about going crazy, but rather about staying awake. And it makes sense that people would be afraid to fall asleep in this place. Anytime a patient comes in, they pass out, and shortly after that, if they're not treated properly, they can trigger a death ritual where they start like floating up in the air. And if you don't put the candles out in time, the patient dies. In other words, the more you sleep, the more likely you are to die or to become an anomaly. Which explains why Barney was always asking us for coffee. He was probably just trying to keep the voices quiet before he went crazy. But that all changed when he asked for the scalpel. Why? We can assume by the photo that the cops have of him that he's an anomaly, but I don't think that's the case. In fact, according to our next secret, we may have misunderstood our entire interaction with Barney. And the evidence is in the trash. The secret life-saving trash can. One little known fact is that after a patient is knocked out, you can toss them in the trash can and you don't gotta deal with them, which can be super helpful because it completely skips the treatment period without any time penalties or standard patient death deductions. But it also shows how little this hospital actually cares about taking care of their patients. At any point, anyone can just be tossed into the trash, except for one person. Which takes us to our next secret. Officer Duckman's secret. You see, Barney's weird, even for an anomaly. Unlike standard monsters that completely just mutate into mindless skin suits, Barney still walks, talks, and speaks perfect English. And most importantly, unlike other anomalies, he asks for coffee to suppress his symptoms. As a player, we're definitely led to believe that he's some bloodthirsty murderer, especially after he comes back with the suitcase. And while it seems like Officer Duckman is finally there to deliver the truth, he may be the one who's lying. You see, Officer Duckman is not only the only duck in the game, but he's also the only character in the game whose body can't be dumped in the trash, even after his role in the story is over. For whatever reason, his body is special. Now, this could simply be because the game doesn't want you to throw cops in the trash, but it is an important distinction. Duckman is the only character who enters completely awake, sane, and unaffected by the hospital's dark influence. His soul is still intact, meaning he can't be processed like corporate garbage. So in some way, the hospital itself, specifically being in the hospital for long periods of time, is what's causing these anomalies, which would explain why Duckman can't be trashed. But it doesn't explain whether Barney is an anomaly or not, or even why he asked us for the scalpel in the first place. But to understand that, we have to talk about what the anomalies actually are, the truth about the anomalies. The truth behind what the anomalies actually are is probably the biggest secret in all of Animal Hospital. But there are some things we do know. The more tired a victim is, the more likely they are to become infected, almost like they're trying to keep themselves awake to avoid having a nightmare. But what if they aren't being infected, but rather possessed? Remember, this highway is located in the middle of a supernatural hotspot, at the intersection of an ancient burial ground and ritual site. And it's all on a haunted road. Given how the anomalies play off their victims' exhaustion, they sound a lot like a mythical creature called the Gawi. In Korean folklore, the Gawi are shape-shifting spirits who feed on exhausted humans in their sleep. Scary. Wait, in this photo, they're even kind of laying like they do in Animal Hospital. Back in the day, they were used to explain sleep paralysis, which is when your eyes are awake before your body is, and you're just stuck there for a second, which is a pretty spooky sensation, which is why the Gawi were feared for their powers. And since their powers came from preying on exhausted humans, they were attracted to places where people work themselves to death, like hospitals. It also might be a better explanation for what Barney was doing with the scalpel. You see, one of the Gawi's natural weaknesses is apparently iron blades. In ancient times, people used to sleep with iron scissors and put them under their pillow to ward off Gawi. So he could have been using the scalpel in the same way. This would also mean that the Gawi has not fully taken over him, unlike the others, which would explain why he's so unique, and it also completely reframes him as a character. That said, it's clear that there's something more than just the supernatural going on here. And if anyone has proof, it's Liz. Liz is another very mysterious character in the game who seems to know way more than she lets on. Liz is actively investigating the facility tirelessly, so much so that she lost her job over it and will not let that story go. She doesn't just sit around, she's constantly observing the anomalies and documenting what she finds. But what makes Liz truly unique is her camera. The secret of Liz's camera. At first, it seems like a normal tool for a detective character. But in this world, cameras have a very specific supernatural function. If you use a camera to take pictures of specific characters like Barney or the Stalker, the photo reveals their true anomaly form. But Liz's camera is even more specific. It doesn't just reveal the anomalies, it reveals what stage the anomalies are in. while a regular camera uses a lens that captures all visual light that the human eye can see. A UV camera can capture ultraviolet light in infrared waves that the eye can't see, which means that at some level, the anomalies are either radioactive or emitting some type of UV light. And given that the final flash of the camera is enough to turn the fourth visitor into a mimic, it's possible that they can even absorb radiation themselves. And it may even be what caused them to transform in the first place, which means that these anomalies are not just ghosts, they're mutant spirits. And everything we found in the last update seems to validate that. Like the hazmat suit NPC. The latest update rolled out slime shifts, which happen sometime between stages 10 and 15. The hospital becomes infected with slime, and we get a visit from Slimebert, a massive enemy who can swallow you whole for 20 sanity points, unless you have cough syrup. But luckily, we also get some cool new hazmat suit NPCs to help us clean up. The new hazmat NPCs don't talk much, but they do go around picking up slime, which is handy, but not as handy as a tool you already have. The fire extinguisher. In fact, the fire extinguisher can also subdue Slimebert. So it's entirely possible that this growing green slime could very well be exactly what causes spirits to turn into the anomalies we see. Especially because someone found this in the files. Our friend Flush did some investigating and put some interesting clues together. Let's take a look.
Actually come from? Well, we may have the answer to that. See, this person named Linksey's Alt actually managed to break through the game and found some pretty interesting things. Yet, they found a whole bunch of different models of the many characters in this game, but what I found the most interesting was this little image here. Because when you look at it, you realize it's actually a real newspaper. And so I went ahead and translated it, and I found out that this whole newspaper is talking about the Fukushima nuclear accident. Which, if you don't know, in the year 2011, there was an earthquake that hit Japan, and because of this earthquake, it ended up exploding a nuclear power plant in Fukushima. Yet this whole explosion was considered to be the worst nuclear incident since the Chernobyl disaster. Yet there's even over 164,000 local residents that had to move out of the area due to all the radiation that was around there. But now the question is, why is this newspaper about this nuclear accident in this Roblox game? And why is it just kind of hiding in the background?
Good question. It's super sus that the hospital has a hazmat team ready to clean it up at a moment's notice, when the rest of the hospital is just a constant disaster zone. But if the hospital has a history for messy nuclear disasters, then it really makes sense. Could this explain the origins of the slime? And even if it does, why does it keep coming back? Where is it coming from? Well, our next secret may be the answer to that question. Is the basement full of slime? One of the other mini mysteries in Animal Hospital is what is going on in the basement. We know something's going on down there, we just don't know what. Most would assume this is where Dr. Harlow is conducting his experiments. But after this recent update, maybe it's much simpler than that. Maybe the basement is where all of the slime overflow is coming from. It would certainly explain why they were so quick at being able to contain it, and how professional they are at the job they do. Which also makes the new NPC all the more strange. Who is Sam? Sam is one of the worst and best NPCs of all time. After the slime shift, he appears and offers to work for $250. And if you can afford it, he's the best janitor in the business, getting rid of not just slime, but hiders and putting out fires as well. He's also super laid back too. He used to work for the Animal Corporation, but he was fired for unknown reasons. But his laid-back personality is probably what keeps him safe from going crazy in this place. Unfortunately, he can't help with everything though, including the bed monsters. But fortunately, I do have another solution. The secret of the syrup. Bed monsters can be so annoying because they pretty much just prevent you from accessing the front of the bed without them grabbing you and draining your sanity. But if you grab some maple syrup, he'll just grab that instead. It's the reason that Ron from accounting mentions he always brings maple syrup with him, because of the bed monster. But that's not the only thing. Hold on to your hats, because this is a crazy secret. The bed monster is a cannibal. So syrup is not the only thing that you can give the bed monster to stop it. It will also munch on a transplant or an organ, which is creepy enough as it is, but it gets even weirder. Take a look at this. So you lure a hider into the bed monster's territory. He just grabbed him and he's screaming! Oh, bed monster attack hider! Oh my gosh! But does this mean it's a cannibal? Or does the fact that it turns on its own mean something else entirely? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. That's all the secrets we found in this video, but there's still so much to dive into, so let me know if you want to see more, and please click one of the next videos before they disappear.